Rink-wide Vancouver, pre-game, post-game, every game presented by Bodog. From sports odds to free casino games, make a play at Bodog.net. Wadden and JPat back with you here after a little holiday break with another edition of the pre-game as the Canucks try to make it above NHL 500 for the first time this year. JPat facing off against a San Jose Sharks team that they've had a bit of success of so far this year.
Yeah, now twice already this year, they have been able to claw their way back to the 500 mark, but they haven't been able to get over it. So third time the charm, perhaps. And if it's the case, it'll be 3 straight victories. And we've seen them get to 3 wins in a row a couple of times already this year. Of course, that's the longest win streak. So they have to take care of San Jose. If they do that, it would be a 3rd straight time this season that they have defeated the Sharks. They played them twice, both in San Jose. Both games required overtime, and the Canucks came out on top. So, yeah, we'll see if the rest does them well, but they go into the holiday break with a little bit of momentum after the victories over Seattle and Edmonton. We'll see what they look like coming out here on the other side.
Let's get to the lineup change presented by Delaney's OK Tire out on Fraser Highway in Langley. Doesn't look like a whole lot of changes for the Canucks, and Spencer Martin going to get the start and goal.
Yeah, that is the change. Of course, Colin Delia did a nice job against the Oilers the other night. Gave Spencer Martin a rest. He had started 8 in a row, so he gets back in goal. But otherwise, it's the same forwards. It's the same defense group, and that means that Kyle Burrows will remain out. Riley Stillman is in on defense. And if you're wondering about the line combinations themselves, Bo Horvat between Ilya Mikheyev and Brock Besser. You've got JT Miller skating with Connor Garland and Curtis Lazar, Elias Pettersson with Lane Peterson, and Andrei Kuzmenko on the other side. And then the 4th line is Nils Amon at center with Jack Studnicka and Dakota Joshua.
Heading into Christmas, 2 big wins for the Canucks, and the big boys were stepping up.
Yeah, I mean, a lot made of Elias Pettersson and his 5-point performance coming off the illness against Seattle, and then going into Edmonton back-to-back. You know, this is what you want from a captain and from a leader, and so much talk about Bo Horvat and all his goal scoring. But he had 3 points in the 3rd period. It was a 2-all tie, and the captain rose up. He had 4 points on the night. So a 4-point performance from Bo Horvat following a 5-point effort from Elias Pettersson. JT Miller with a couple of goals. You know, top-end guys, best players. If that happens more regularly in the post-Christmas portion of the schedule, pretty good chance that the Vancouver Canucks can continue to have success. This is an incredible statistic, though. The Canucks have 15 wins on the season. Bo Horvat or Elias Pettersson or both have scored in all 15 of those wins. So when those guys are going, pretty good chance the Canucks are going. It's on those nights when they're not, you'd like some other guys to step up and find the back of the net.
Defense has been an issue. Keeping pucks out of their net has been an issue for the Canucks this year, but we saw defensively they were pretty good in Edmonton, proving it can be done.
Yeah, you wondered about that after all the goals that they've given up in the first part of this season. But yeah, I think that's the template. That's the blueprint for the Canucks. They held the Oilers to just 7 shots on goal in the 3rd period and really didn't give up an awful lot. And we're talking about an Oilers team, obviously, that has Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. But the Canucks penalty kill was a perfect 3 for 3. We haven't been able to say that very often, and that was against the top power play in the National Hockey League. So we'll see if they can bottle that up and bring it on home, because we know home ice has been an issue for the Vancouver Canucks, but that's what they're playing. They're at Rogers Arena tonight, and we'll see if they can finally get this thing moving in the right direction in front of the home fans.
Now, they got to get on top of these Sharks early. They have been sitting stale a little bit, if you will, haven't played since Thursday.
Yeah, but they came off a good win, went into the Christmas break on a bit of a high, a 5-2 victory over a decent Minnesota Wild hockey club. Erik Karlsson leads this group. He always does. He had 4 points, on 4 of the 5 San Jose goals the other night. So we talk about those struggles on home ice. It would be nice to see the Canucks get a jump on an opponent. And let's be honest, the San Jose team, the Canucks have beat them twice, although both, as we said, went to overtime. So they've had to squirm a little bit to get their victories. But there are only 3 teams in the National Hockey League below the Sharks in the standings by points percentage. And we're talking about Columbus, Anaheim, and Chicago. So that kind of gives you an idea of the neighborhood that the Sharks are residing in this season. This one's there for the taking for the Canucks, but of course, they can't take anything for granted.
Usual suspects are stepping up for the Sharks, especially EK65, Erik Karlsson, having a hell of a year.
It really is unbelievable, and he's just showing no signs of slowing down. We talked about the 4-point night before Christmas against the Wild. 13 goals, 33 assists, 46 points for the veteran defenseman. Leads all blue liners in the National Hockey League in scoring by 7 points at Christmas. Josh Morrissey of Winnipeg is second in that discussion, but really a 7-point gap for guys playing that position. That's almost in a league of his own. So Erik Karlsson drives so much of the offense for this team, but don't sleep on Timo Meier. He has 18 goals. That's tops on the Sharks. He's scored in 4 straight, 5 of his last 6. So he's holding the hot hand, and we'll see if he's able to maintain that momentum coming out of the Christmas break. And then you've got guys like Thomas Hertl, who's up over 30 points, and Logan Couture, second on the team with 14 goals. So those guys have been a big part of the Sharks' offense for years now. And really, those are the guys that move the needle for this hockey club. If you can keep them in check, pretty good chance that you're going to find a way to knock off the Sharks tonight.
Pretty good chance the Canucks are going to face off against a veteran goaltender as well. It looks like James Reimer will get the start and goal.
Yeah, and goaltending's been a little bit of an issue, and James Reimer has had trouble staying healthy, but he was in goal the other night. He is likely to be the starter for the Sharks in this one, and if he gets a win tonight, his 200th in the National Hockey League, and we know about the Canucks and milestones for opponents. But when you think of the Canucks' 2 victories in overtime down at the Shark Tank, they haven't seen a ton of terrific goaltending on the part of the San Jose netminders. Kaapo Kähkönen was in goal for 1 game and then got the hook in the other. And remember, the rookie Eetu Mäkiniemi made his NHL debut in that 6-5 overtime win for the Vancouver Canucks. So James Reimer is their number 1 guy, even at this stage of his career, coming up on his 35th birthday early in 2023. But he's the main man. He gives them better goaltending than the other options. So, yeah, the Canucks haven't seen Reimer yet. They're likely to face him in this one tonight.
The Canucks' main man, of course, is Elias Pettersson. He's the focus of my Bodog Best Bet. Well, kind of going to the well once again with EP40. Here's what I got tonight. Elias Pettersson points, at least 2 in the game at plus 152. Need 2 or more from EP40 in this one, JPat, but he's got 7 points over his last 2 games. Red hot right now.
Yeah, coming off that illness that kept him out for 2 games and only played 2 games last week, but was named the 3rd star of the league or of the week in the National Hockey League. So nice to see him getting a little bit of league-wide recognition for his 5-point effort and then following it up with 2. And he was terrific at Edmonton, obviously not as dominant on the score sheet, but still spent most of his shifts in the offensive zone, driving play as he does, set up JT Miller for the power play goal and then set up Bo Horvat as well. So yeah, 2 points against the Oilers, 5 against the Kraken. I like that bet on your part. Hard to bet against Elias Pettersson these days, the way that he's going.
We've seen 18 goals total between these 2 teams in the 2 affairs that they've had so far this year. So a lot of goal scoring to go around, JPat. That means a lot of candidates that could do something tonight in this game.
You're right. And you think of all the offensive weapons that the Vancouver Canucks have, and you certainly could pick one there. But you know what? I'm going at the other end of the ice.
Ooh.
A little bit of heat on Spencer Martin. He gets the net back, but hey, the way Colin Delia played the other night against the Oilers, I think that leaves the coaching staff with at least an option to go to Colin Delia at some point here. They don't have to rely on Spencer Martin. We talked about 8 straight starts. He had appeared in 10 games in a row before he took a seat the other night in Edmonton. So Colin Delia, even though he's the 3rd stringer, rose to the challenge, gives the Canucks an option. I don't think we're going to see Spencer Martin start 8 in a row again. And so a little bit of pressure on him, knowing that if he doesn't perform, that Colin Delia is there waiting in the wings. And keep in mind, too, Spencer Martin looked like a guy that needed a bit of a rest. He's given up 5 goals in his last 3 starts, each of his last 3 starts. If it was just 5 goals over his last 3 starts, that's a different conversation. But he's been torched for 5 goals in each of his last 3 starts by the Jets, by the Blues, and by the Seattle Kraken. Canucks generated enough offense that he got a victory against Seattle. But he's got to do his part. So a little bit of heat, I think, on Spencer Martin. A little reset there over the break, the night off against the Oilers, and we'll see what a rested and refreshed Spencer Martin can do against this San Jose team tonight.
All right, the Canucks, they are rested, but will they be ready as they face off on home ice against the San Jose Sharks? It's been another edition of the Rink Wide Vancouver podcast presented by Bodog. For Jeff Patterson, I'm Andrew Wadden. Remember, Rink Wide is the show that always scores.